What's up, party people? My name is Sunny Ray. This is the Sunny Ray Show. I'm back with another awesome interview. This next guy is an oddball. He's a Renaissance man. He used to be an actor on Friday Night Lights, and he's one of the earliest pioneers in AI in the 90s. And he's one of the first guys to really, work in AI way before, all of us obviously dove in. He's also run a fund or a home office, I think, with 17x returns. We'll get into that later today. He's also been a CEO in 3 different companies. He's got a PhD from Stanford. His father also founded the International Neural Network Society in 1987. I'm really, really lucky here to have Evan with me. Evan, how you doing, bud?
Hi, good to see you, Sonny.
Yeah, wow.
Pleasure is mine.
What an interesting life you must have you must have had. I mean, with your father founding the International Neural Network Society, right? So I guess a lot of people
Yeah,
don't even know what the origins of AI are, but isn't it true that it's actually based on our brains?
yeah. The neural networks was they used to call it because they were sort of like, oh, it's kind of like the way the brain functions.
Hmm.
And yeah, my dad was one of these early guys. If you search last name Sue, my last name, and you like AI, you'll see all these papers by him. Like, he's like one of the guys that built the mathematical foundations that all AI uses now today. Like he was one of the guys way back when it was like just a weird geek corner of the world that scientists would just nerd out on, mathematicians mainly.
That's fascinating, man. So I guess start me with Gamma Prime. What are you building? Why should people care? We'll keep it like high level and kind of short for now, but happy to double click and go deeper later on.
Yeah. So most people know investments as, public markets, stocks and bonds, futures. There's a whole other universe called private investments, which is like, you probably have heard of these private equity, um, private credit, hedge funds, pre-IPO secondaries. So this whole other world is pretty fragmented. And the Gamma Prime is essentially to help people make sense of that universe.
Got it. Got it. Interesting. Interesting. So, and you guys do events, and there's, I guess, a lot of things you guys do around that. But we'll go, I guess, deeper into it. Evan, one of my favorite things to do is kind of chart people's hero's arc, right? Where they're like kind of their story, if that makes sense, and gives me more insight into like why they are doing what they're doing. So,
Sure.
talk to me. I guess you started writing machine learning code in what, 1995? What did that even look like back then? And when, there wasn't really a category even called machine learning yet, right?
Yeah. Yeah. AI was just a weird sideshow in like mathematics back then. Like I said, like you mentioned, my dad co-founded the International Neural Network Society. Back then they were called it Neural Networks in 1987. And so when I grew up with this business, it was him cramming this down my throat at the dinner table. And like a good Asian, when I went off to, university, I was like, I guess I'll just do what my dad did. And I did my degree at Brown University, computer science. And back then there was no AI, there was no neural networks. So Brown is one of these funky places. They like oddballs like me. They say, go ahead, make your own degree, create your own, invent your own degree. So I did. I invented a degree, called neural networks. It was computer science based, but I did like, a thing with chemistry. Way back then, it was just all math, like when you code in software and engineering, it's like not, it wasn't the way it is now where you can like talk to the machine and just like say, hey, go write me this. Back then, it was like you're like cranking through like Python. But yeah, I started doing it at a bank. The first job was at Capital One, and then they're just doing debt valuation. And back then, for those of you that may know this, is like, back then it used to be just what they call regression models, which is just okay. Here's all your behaviors, and here's your credit score, and therefore, how likely are you to pay your loan back? If you're very likely, then they'll give you a nice high credit line, right? It's very simple stuff. And all that they did with neural networks is instead of just being one line, they did 2 dimensions, one line and 2 lines. That was the beginning. Believe it or not, from that has come all the craziness that we know today. like from those very humble roots. They just started adding more power and data and computation and variations. But it's like Taco Bell. They just remix the same ingredients over and over again. But the crazy thing is you can stack it up, and now you have self-driving cars. You have chatbots that know more information than any person. You have things that code better than any human coder. And it's all just based on this very, very simple mathematics. So yeah.
That's fascinating. I mean, yeah, it's crazy because I went to University of Toronto as well, and like Hinton and Ilya Sutskever, a lot of these guys are from here. And I remember learning about AI. I think I had a couple of courses in it as well in engineering, and it was always like very mathematical, like you said, more like algorithmic and kind of futuristic-y almost. Like, oh, this may or may not pan out. But yeah,
Yeah.
look how far it's come. So you went from, like you said, Brown to, I guess, a PhD at Stanford. What pulled you out of academia and into commodity futures and trading?
So it was actually the other way around, which is I was trading first. So I
Got
started
it.
trading in university before there's even electronic trading. I'm an old man. I'm 52. So when I first started trading, you still have to call the broker up. And like when Globex, the E-mini futures, sorry, S&P 500 electronic futures first became available, I started trading. It was 1997. And so I didn't ever trade in the pits, but I learned from an old pit trader. Those guys that like are shouting like the symbols and stuff. And so I was trading, and then I went off to, like I said, Capital One, did some banking stuff, and then I did the very first thing that every AI person tries to do. They try to use it to trade and make money. So I did this back in like 2005. And so when people are like, I'm going to use AI to like trade markets, I'm like, just so you know, you're about 21 years too late. It's been tried. Every hedge fund on the planet has tried it. Of course. You think you're the first to think of this? Of course, man. The first thing everyone tries to do is make money with it. And I can tell you, I'll just tell you right now, it doesn't work that way. You cannot just call ChatGPT up and say, hey, go make me money. And the reason is, I can get into the details, but the big picture is AI works by giving lots of examples of data and then solving a very specific problem. So great example is cats. What's a cat? Well, there's really only a number of things about a cat. There's its ear and its shape and its fuzziness. So if I give it a million examples of pictures of cats, it can figure it out really quick, because cats don't change. They're just kind of cats, right? Markets are the complete upside down. They change all the time. You think we've had an Iran war like this before that the AI can train on as prior reference? No, it's never existed. And this war is still happening so quickly. Every day it's different. 3 days ago, we were still bombing Iran, and suddenly now we're not bombing them. Like, there's no precedent for this. So if you try to use AI to like figure out the war, it's like, well, give me a million examples of when this has happened before, and I can model it for you. And there's no such thing. So you can use AI for trading, and I have used it successfully, but there's, it's a long story. But the bottom line is you need to constrain the problem space to a tiny, tiny, very specific question. And you need to train the hell out of it on that one question. And it can help you on that because it runs 24/7. But it's not going to go make you money. So for all of those who have thought about, I'm going to make a trading bot, trust me, I've tried it. That's the first thing I tried.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, that's exactly the first place your mind goes, right? It's like, all right, let's get these bots to make me some money. Okay, so I guess by 2005, you were applying ML directly to trading, right? This is like way before everyone. So what made that kind of the moment, though, and what did the kind of the quant trading world look like before that shift?
That's a great question. I think, to be honest, I was trying it as an experiment. It didn't really add much to the trading that I was doing at the time. I think only recently, in the last probably 10 years, has it really become a useful tool for me. I know other people have used it in their own ways, but I'll give you an example of something it can do. It can do things like, let's say you like to trade a specific pattern, whatever, a breakout or after reversal, something like that. If you have a very specific idea of what you want to trade, you can train it to look for that, and then it can give you ping on your phone when it sees it. And because it's such a fast machine, it can look across hundreds of markets, right? So that is a way that you can use it. But if you're like, hey, go make me money, that doesn't work. And I always say, if you don't know how to make money yet, yourself as a trader, you cannot get the AI to make money for you. If you're already a pretty good trader, what you can do is you can use it to augment you. You can use it to support you. But yeah, that's a question people have all the time, because it's the first thing everyone thinks of. But trust me, it doesn't quite work that way.
Yeah, then Gamma Prime is your third startup, right? So what's the actual thread connecting all three?
It's actually machine learning. It's AI. So the last two were biotech startups, actually. I know it's a little weird. We did cancer detection, actually in breast cancer, using AI. This is in 2017, I think. And we actually sold the algo to Roche. It's actually being used by Roche for their breast cancer diagnostic. So that was great. And then we went to Singapore, and I lived there for many years doing a startup in trying to do drug development. That one essentially failed. It didn't take off. But that happens. And then Gamma Prime was the other half of my love, which is, markets and trading. Or like, it's time for this. It's time to like use machine learning and use the tech available. We also use blockchain because it's like perfect for decentralization. Right now, if you're trading all this stuff, it's all centralized, right? So if you go to Chicago Merck to do futures or NASDAQ, it's all centralized. It's all run by, one entity with the government with its, watching it. There's a chance with blockchain to do something decentralized where it's like, look, there's no one country that can like come in and shut this down or sniff around your data. And like private markets is perfect for it because it's private. It's not regulated. It's wide open, and so Gamma Prime, we're like, hey, it's time. We've been stalking it for years and years. Before I did this second startup, I was already thinking about this, and all the co-founders. I'm the CEO of the company, but there's really a set of 4 co-founders. And I always say I drew the short straw, so they made me the CEO. It's like someone has got to go out there and talk to people. I'm like, ugh. They're like, you were the actor, you go do it. So that's why I'm the CEO. But like, they're all amazing, and all 4 of them we've been stalking each other for years. We've been like, one day we're going to do this company that's like this, and then finally blockchain matured enough with stable coins, and then we feel like AI was ready probably before this, but yeah, that's Gamma Prime. Essentially, it's using these 2 pieces of tech to like try to bring private investments into the 21st century. I mean, it's totally backwards right now.
Machine learning and blockchain?
Yeah, blockchain as well.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Hey, Evan, do you think much about the machine economy?
I do. I tell you, I actually worry about it.
Interesting. Okay, talk to me about it. I mean, I'm just very interested in that topic as well.
I worry about it for the humans. Because I tell you, I was a software developer. I trained for years, an expensive degree, learn how to code. I got my value out of it. But what if you were a software engineer that went to school in 2022 and you went and you trained to be a software coder because you figured that will always be a job that's available because the world runs on computers. You graduate with a bunch of student loan debt, and now suddenly AI is taking over all coding jobs everywhere. And it's better than any coder. There's no human that is and 6 months ago, it wasn't even like this. I've used these coding tools recently, and I'm like, oh my gosh. 6 months ago, it's like, it's garbage. I'll never be as good as a human. And now I'm like, oh my God, it's so much better than a person. Never mind the cost. Never mind the fact that like you can do it for $200 of tokens. But what about the human? What about the person that's got 100K of student loans that like, now they have this tool that's like useless. Like they can't get a job. And it's happening so fast. I think that's the thing that's scary. In the past, people go, hey, people get their jobs displaced all the time. That happened when electrification happened. That happened when, the typewriter was replaced by personal computers. But yeah, it's never happened in like 6 months. There was always like years and years for the transition to happen. This is like last year, at this same time, last year, your job was still good to go as a software coder. That's crazy. What are these people going to do? Anyway, I worry about this because it's like change is going to happen, but change at this speed has never happened before.
What are they going to do?
I mean, I know many of them that are looking for work, like, and can't find it. And we're not hiring at Gamma Prime because we're using AI to do a lot of it. And like, this is one of those situations where every individual every company is making decisions based on what makes sense for the company. It's rational. Of course, we as Gamma Prime must use the best tools available to us to conduct our business. We do a fair amount that's digital online. So yes, we're going to use the best tool available. But if every single startup is doing that, what happens is there's a whole group of people that fall between the cracks. So it's like, can I single-handedly save things? No. I don't know if the government can. I mean, I don't know if it's the government's job. That's a different debate. But like, I can tell you, there's a lot of software engineers that are poking us and being like, "Hey, heard you're hiring." I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, that's an old listing. It's not available anymore." And I've never seen this before. I mean, like, my last job, we had last startup. Our CTO was the creator of Gmail at Google. He was the guy that actually co-creator. He was one of them. He's also the inventor of the poo emoji. Anyway, he's a legend in software development, right? This guy is like a 30-year icon of like Google. He's scared. He's like, what is happening? Not for his job. He's an architect. And so like for them, he's essentially designing in business, but like he's looking at the next generation. He's like, what's going to happen?
That's wild. Do you think this trends towards everyone essentially in a position where they're forced to become entrepreneurs?
It is an entrepreneurial time. Like, entrepreneurs have many more tools that are available than ever before.
And the reason I asked that, Evan, is because when you think about it through the lens of the job, I agree, it's gone, like, to a large extent for many. But when I talk to entrepreneurs, like, just like I was earlier, they're lit up, they see endless possibilities. So I almost wonder, is it just a shift? Like, is it just that we're now, all of us are essentially, I know it sounds like, it's like, when they were telling truck drivers to learn coding a few years ago. So maybe it's just like hardcore cope over here, right? But I don't know about you, but I feel like Superman. I wake up every morning and I am unfreaking stoppable, right? So if all it takes is just a shift in thinking, might it come early enough? Hopefully, I don't know, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not dystopian and dark here. It's just,
no, you're right.
We need to change the way people think and believe and all that kind of stuff, right? And entrepreneurship is hard as F, but that's why I'm out here every day interviewing and putting a spotlight on as many of them as I can find and being like, yo, it's not that bad. Like, you got to grow a pair and maybe, and have some courage, but it can be kind of glorious. And like,
I'm with you.
Invigorating.
I feel like I can't like be that excited and happy like you are, because I'm the same way. I'm like, this is amazing. This is a time where if you've got something to say, you can say it in so many ways. You know what it's a lot like? It's a lot like when media got blown out and blown open by the internet. So for a while, it's like the only way you could I was an actor, right, for many years. The only way you could do that back then was you had to get an agent, you work your way up, right? You kiss butt, and like you get booked on like a small role, and then a bigger role, and like, but then suddenly there's YouTube, and suddenly you can just bypass all that. You could just do what we're doing. You could be Mr. Beast. You can just go straight to the audience. You don't need this middleman anymore. And there are winners and losers. right? The losers were all the the kind of legacy things. And like now it's like there's more eyeballs on YouTube than there are on like all the legacy CBS, NBC, ABC combined. I think that was the last stat I had. So they lost. Now I don't mind them losing, but the problem, but then there was huge winners, right? And there were the people that were like, I can go straight to my audience now. And that's ever since then, it's been a permanent change. So I'm with you. If you're an entrepreneur, meaning you have something to say, like I've got an idea, I've got a problem I want to solve, I have a message I want to convey, you can go straight to your audience now. You can code the stuff yourself. You don't need to
I mean, even if you don't have an idea, my point is all you have to have is a pair. Right? Because you could ask AI for an idea. Like it's glorious, dude. Like I woke up this morning and I just knew that I track my Claude credits like a hawk, right? Like as in if I'm not expiring 14%, because 7 days, 14% a day.
Right,
Anyways,
right.
Like I'm cranking on ideas. So this morning I was in the gym. I told AI, look at my whole system and everything and everything, and then just come back with one idea. And it cranked for like an hour, and it came back with this like next level genius idea. It's called license to close. It's like you've got everything figured out. It's like, can I just have my AI is asking me? I'm not going to give it, but it's like, can I just have the license to close for you? And it came up with this idea on its own. It's like, this is what I would need to do. I'm like, let's not start sending emails without me, like, approving the draft over here. But I'm listening. They're just like wild things, right? But I think you just got to have that, I don't know, that outlook, right? Anyways, each of your companies has had, a machine learning component. Like how has the role ML plays changed from kind of like your first venture to this one?
I would say the big thing is like this emergence of language models, right? And I think what people don't realize is AI has always been around and it's been growing continuously. It's just that suddenly you can access it now because language models have brought it to you. Before you had to learn its language, you had to go and learn math, essentially, right? So the sudden explosion of AI is really just it's bridged the gap to the human. But it's been going on the whole time, And I got to tell you, the most exciting part of AI, it's not happening in language models. It's the most visible part because the most people can access it because you can just talk to it, right? You don't need to learn. So I would say that the biggest misconception I've seen is like people see this explosion of language models and they think that that is AI. But it is a form of AI. The real innovation is happening in for example, self-driving cars. This is something maybe people can relate to better. Self-driving cars doesn't speak language. It's not like the little thing at the top is like saying, okay, turn right, and then sending it into some computer that goes, Roger, right turn at the next intersection. It's all numbers and bits, right? It's all like seeing like the data of what it's running into and like looking at the GPS and systems. There's no language involved. There's no English, right? So this used to be an old trick I'd tell people when the LLMs first came out, large language models. I would tell them, try giving it a math problem and it would screw it up because it's not a large arithmetic model. It's a large language model, but actually math is its native tongue. That's where it does its best work. So the most awesome innovations, so you guys know, are happening in things like cellular modeling, like where they're getting to a stage where they can because right now the way you develop drugs, because my last company was a drug development company, is that you essentially need to build some molecule that fits some receptor and then inject it into 500 mice, and then you usually carve the mice up and you see which ones have gotten healthy. And then you beg the FDA to let you try it in people, and they'll let you try it in 5 people in phase 1. Then you inject it to them, and if it doesn't kill them, then you can go to phase 2, and that costs each of these millions and millions of dollars, and it takes years and years and years and years. And so what happens is 12 years later the drug comes to market. But what if you could, instead of injecting all those mice, which is slow, it's bad for the mice, they don't like it, people that what if you could model the cell with a digital model, and that you could predict which like molecules would like fit in and what all the cascading downstream effects are, because these cells are extremely complex, never mind the whole system. They're just starting with a cell. Well, you could never do that with what was known as traditional coding, which is what they call deterministic coding, which is I'm going to try to learn every single pathway and every single activation function and put it all in a computer and then model it that way. It's impossible. It's just like it became a combinatorially explosive problem. Like you could never do it. But there's this thread in the AI community which says maybe the way AI approaches things, which is not combinatorial, it's not deterministic, it's empirical, right? It's by example. That may be able to replicate or at least simplify a large portion of the unknownness of a cell. And if you could do it at a cell level, you could potentially do it at a larger organ level, right? And you could cut a large chunk of this drug development process out, or make it more efficient, or make it faster. That would have dramatic human benefit to society, you know. If drugs took 6 years to come to market and cost half as much, you will get 4 times as many medications, right? And you'll be able to do things that aren't just the most valuable, expensive medications for cancer, which is where all the money goes, right? It's like, what about medications for muscle wasting? That was the last drug we were trying to develop in my last company. There's literally no medication for muscle wasting, meaning I get older and I can't walk anymore. That's like the most basic problem, right? It's not just us. It's also like, you know, you get an accident, you're bedridden and your muscles waste, right? There's only one treatment for that now. They just inject you with steroids. It's not a treatment. Yet this is the hugest possible market. Why hasn't anyone developed drugs for it? It's expensive, it's slow, and there's issues with the FDA. With the FDA is like, if you're listening, you know, they essentially go cost benefit, and like, you know, well, what's the, you know, benefit of a muscle wasting drug? They always measure it in mortality. Sorry, I'm going on a rant now. Mortality, which is like how quickly someone dies. That's why cancer drugs are great, because they're going to die next week. Well, guess what? Anything goes. If I can give them an extra 5 days of life, that'll pass FDA muster. But if it's muscle wasting, what's the benefit? Are they going to die tomorrow? No. Are they going to die in 5 years? No. They never die from muscle wasting. So you have to prove the bar for benefit is so high, because, or the bar for, like, you know, downside. You have to, it's got to be such a clean drug, such a powerful drug. Well, that's partly because the drug development process is so difficult, right? So that would be a revolution. That could like transform human health and suffering and longevity and stuff like that. And that's something that no LLM people talking to their chat GPT, they're not even aware that's where the innovation's happening. That's just one example.
Yeah. That's crazy. You know, you said AI has kind of like suddenly emerged as a thing, but you've been doing this since 1995. What's it like watching kind of an entire industry rediscover something you spent, you know, 3 decades on?
Oh, I love that question. I'll be honest, I had no idea. I had no idea I was going to do this. I wish I could be like, oh, I saw this coming, you know, but I was shocked. I was shocked as everybody else. I think the amount of money that's been spent on AI development is like something like, it's like 3 or 4 like Apollo programs. It's like we could have sent people to Mars with this kind of like money, you know, like, and it's just been, the boom has been amazing. So as much as I've been poo-pooing large language models, it is also the reason we have this boom, because it's made it so widely available, because people can access it, because you and I can develop entrepreneurial ideas directly by talking with it, and you don't have to learn Python. So it's not a bad thing at all. I mean, if it's just, you know, but the explosion has been remarkable. I do worry as a trader that it's overdone. I'm actually short the US stock market. I tend to wear these trades on my sleeve, which is, I don't like to be the guy that's like, aha, see, like I call this trade. It's like, no, I want to be the one that's right now, stock market's at all-time highs, and I'm making a call. And if I'm wrong, you get to like say, hey, you were wrong, dude. But like, I think that it's overdone. I have concerns that like there's circularity, people are like money's going from one hand to another, and there's like, and it's such a dominant, it's like 90, I don't know what percentage. It's a huge percentage of the capex in the US in the last, 18 months. And that's very lopsided because ordinary people have had very little job creation. Actually, if you look at like, job data for the last year after they did the revision down, it's like effectively no net job creation. Remember, you need like 150,000 a month just to keep up with like population growth. So the normal economy is not doing so great, which is why another reason I'm short. It's very lopsided, but it's also been amazing. Like watching it go, I'm like, holy smokes, like this is not, I talk to my dad too all the time. My brother's an AI guy as well. And we're like, did you see this coming? And he's like, I wish I could say I saw 1% of what it's been turned into. Like it blew up. So no, I can't say I call this one at all.
Right place, right time. So, Evan, was there a specific breakthrough moment where you saw tokenized access to alternative investments as the next problem worth building?
That's a great question. I think there's been a lot of fads in crypto, right? You have like meme coins, the last one. Real world assets is a secular mega trend. It's something that is not a fad. What do I mean? What's real world assets? It's essentially taking stuff that's out in the real world, not already on blockchain, and giving it a blockchain backbone, right? So what does that mean? So the analogy is stock trading, because this is the world I know. It used to be done with paper. Like in 1970 something, they used to like, the dudes used to on the floor were like taking little notes of sheets of paper on the trades that they've done. And at the end of the day, the reason markets close, the reason why they're not 24/7, is because they had to go to the back room and like get all these slips of paper and like reconcile all the trades and record them. This is how stock trading was done. And it got to a stage where there was like a few days where like it took the entire night to like clear all the trades. It was completely unsustainable. And eventually they made it electronic. They're all like, let's have a digital record for every transaction and use that to clear things instead. Now, it seems obvious today, but back then it was revolutionary, right? And the digitization of it changed the entire nature of stock trading. It's what makes it available to us today. Well, the same thing is going to happen to all these private investments, which right now are essentially done with the equivalent of little pieces of paper. So if you ever invest in a hedge fund, they will send you a big stack of papers, like 80 pages on, it used to be fax, but now at least it's DocuSign. But DocuSign is just the physical paper sent to you on email, and then you read through it and you sign it, and then they go and they wire the money over to the account, and the person does. The whole thing is essentially one step short of like carrier pigeons and stone tablets. It's still the way that like stocks were traded in the 70s. Digitizing that, the tokenization blockchain is the perfect tool for digitizing that. It is a representation of the asset. It's exactly what stocks have done. That is definitely coming and definitely happening, because how can it not? It's just a natural evolution of it. And here's the exciting part. Once that happens, it opens up the possibility of agentic AI to interact with those resources and those assets. If you're an AI agent, your world is digitization. It's bits. It's online. You can't send faxes. You can't sign documents and like stuff like that. The only reason you can do that is because those documents have been scanned in and sent to you by email. But that's not digital. That's just a digital wrapper around a physical thing. Digitization is when that whole thing happens in bits. And then AI agents can actually interact with those things. They can invest for you. They can watch when something is tanking, send you an alert. Do you want me to close this position? And it'll go and close it for you. It can give you recommendations, like you said, except instead of looking at your business, they'll look at your portfolio. Be like, hey, look at all my assets. You got all my W-2s and tax returns for the last 10 years. Look at my age and my kids and my expenses, and just go through the whole thing and recommend for me the right sort of investment portfolio for my lifestyle, my time in life, and where I'm going in the future. Oh, very good. Go do it. Go take care of it for me. That's the power of agentic AI. And right now, you could do that with stocks because it is digitized, but you couldn't do it with private investments. That's where the juice is at, the squeeze. Stocks is
Evan, we gotta do a whole episode on like agentic AI, because I feel
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that's a whole can of worms, and I'm so excited about
Totally.
that future. I actually bought swarmofagents.ai like a year or two ago, just the domain, just because I was like
I like it.
so excited this idea, and I heard someone from A16Z saying that word, and I was like, "Oh, I like that." But and now obviously I'm like agents running everywhere, dude. Like I'm
Yeah.
so all about it. I love this. So, but help me land the plane. And again, I'd love to have you back on. I mean, AI,
Your pleasure.
blockchain, these are all like literally the
To-
things I geek out about all day. But help me land the plane. If Gamma Prime succeeds at its mission, right? Like, well, what does access to elite investment strategies look like for an everyday accredited investor 5 years from now?
Yeah, I think right now, if you are, let's say you're accredited, which in the US and Europe, it just means you have a certain amount of income and you can legally invest in these things. Otherwise, you have to buy stocks and bonds and mutual funds and stuff. So for these guys, right now, it's just a giant nightmare of where do I go? What should I buy? How can I trust any of this stuff? Is it liquid? Oh, I got to sign 80 pages of forms. What am I signing away here? I want to get out. Like, just got to send a wire to these guys. Do I even trust them? I'm sending money. I'm wiring $250,000 to someone. I assume it's okay, right? It's the Wild West. It's just nuts. If Gamma Prime does well, hopefully we end up in a situation where you're like, hey, I have a place to go. I can go online and like look at all these funds. All these funds have been vetted by us. We've all have like audited. We've checked to make sure that when you send the wire, it's actually going to this place. Make sure that they have a genuine, fund administrator. They've been checked by KPMG. Their results are what they say they are, and stuff like that. Which is interesting because people think blockchain and crypto is the Wild West, and that it's true. You have FTX and like Terra Luna, all these things blowing up because they didn't have all these audits and checks. But blockchain is not the same as no audits and checks. Blockchain is a piece of tech. It's like the internet, right? So you can use the blockchain with like Wild West crazy stuff, or you can use it responsibly. And if you use it responsibly, you're like everything on the blockchain in our world has auditors, KPMG, it's got fund administrators. And by the way, because we have this digitization, now you can get out. You can get out piecemeal because there's liquidity, there's secondary markets. You can sell part of your position. You don't have to sell it. You can take a loan against your position, right? And that's going to make it much more available to a lot more people. Because right now it's a nightmare. Right now you're like, well, let's see, I've got a couple million to invest, but they want me to put $250,000. They want me to put 10% of my portfolio in one fund, and the lockup is 5 years. No way, on Gamma Prime, the minimum's 10,000. Okay, that's better. Oh, and by the way, I have liquidity tomorrow if I need it. I can either take a loan out or I can sell on a secondary. Oh, that makes it even better. This is kind of like a stock. Yeah, that's the vision.
Cool. Well, wow, you're building something really special. Cool. Well, Evan, tell people where can people learn more about you? Where can people learn more about Gamma Prime? And then and then I'll bring this stream to an end. And like I said, I'd be delighted to bring you back.
Can I show you? Can I show you like what we do?
Absolutely. Yeah, go ahead.
So
You
you guys should, first of all, you should, just so you guys know, if you come to our events, there's no cost. There's no cost for anything. There's no cost for people to speak on anything. We don't make money off of that stuff. Like I run a small family office. We built it for other people like us because we have the same problem. We're like, where do you go to find this stuff? So we're not selling anything. We do this because the value is you bringing the knowledge to our network, and then you're an investor and you get to connect with people and stuff. Of course, we do make money on other things, but like essentially it's some people have heard of super return or Milken. They're like, it's not that. We're the anti super return. Super returns, like if you want to be here, you pay $10,000. We're like, screw that, man. Like, and then you have people shilling you, and so it's a nightmare. So Superterm's probably going to sue me now. But this is what we do. We do physical events. We've only been doing this 18 months, but we've actually gotten to a stage where we have probably 2,000-3,000 people come. I'll show you our Miami event here. We did this just recently. This is Yatsu, who's it's the founder of Animoca Brands. He's probably one of the top 3 VCs in the world. And yeah, he's at our event interviewing. So this is our event in Miami. And like I said, totally free. We ask that you be credited, but everyone here is pretty much is. And we had a few thousand people come, and then you see all networking is happening. And then we'll have these panels, or we'll have like brains, people like Sunny actually, and they'll like come up there and they'll speak and they'll moderate and they'll share their knowledge. If you can't come to the events, you can also stream us online. So we had 85,000 people stream our event in Miami, and we do this all over the world. So we do one in Hong Kong. This is one we did earlier in the year. Same thing, tens of thousands of people, tens of thousands online, a few thousand in person. And our next event is Singapore. So I'll just show you. It's going to be at the Fullerton, which is like this beautiful, beautiful ancient icon when the Brits were still like stomping around Asia. But it's a pretty place, And like I said, it's totally free. So if you're in the, just go to gamblerprime.com, and if you click on investing summits, you can see this is our, next event, which is in Singapore. And we're doing another one in Abu Dhabi, another one in Davos, another one in Berlin. But again, they're all free. And you can just see the sort of people that come and talk. This is Yatsu, the guy at Animoca Brands. I think where Anthony Scaramucci is coming to this next event. And then Arthur Hayes, who's a crypto billionaire, he's coming and speaking as well. So our whole thing is just to like bring people together, network, to be the anti-sales thing. It's like, why do we do this? Well, because if you guys all come here, we become a hub, and then we can build what we want to build, which is really the digitized, tokenized, platform for private investing.
Very compelling vision, Evan. Look, I'm so glad we got to do this. Hang out for maybe a minute. I'm going to bring the stream to an end. I see we have a whole bunch of people listening live. Thank you all. Super appreciate everything. Everyone joining us, and also, everyone in the future that checks us out. Until next time. Cheers.
Pleasure.